You might remember that in the good old days before November 2022, when the release of ChatGPT-3 initiated the AI explosion, there was an awful lot of excitable hype around the metaverse concept. Remember that? The all-immersive VR internet that our gracious big tech overlords like Meta, Microsoft, and Roblox were planning for us. Now, a lot of the media coverage was negative, just with recent generative AI. The promise of a 3D Web 3.0 was upon us. But critics were quick to point out that our mostly 2D Web 2.0 already has enough problems, most of them totally unpredicted by the web's founders. For example, mass trolling, Twitter mobs, boundless misinformation, negative effects of mobile phones on the well-being of young and not so young, pervasive pornography. I mean, imagine all that in 3D. Oh, sorry, where was I? Hi, I'm Marcus T. Anthony. I am a futurist who's interested in the futures of mind, consciousness, and its relationship with technologies. And please remember to like and subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos like this one. Getting back on topic, we shouldn't assume that some kind of dystopian virtual future is inevitable. My preferred future scenario, which I outlined in my book Power and Presence, is what I call the web of wisdom. Here we develop internet systems and cultures that harness the many potential positives of virtual reality while helping generate greater psychological and spiritual development. This includes what I call embodied presence, a strong sense of connection to the body in the present moment, and to the authentic self, which I define as a more grounded and wise expression of self. An important part of this positive development can be retaining our sense of connection to the body and also to nature, for our bodies are part of nature. Online spaces can actually help us retain our sense of humanity via what's called the nature effect. And of particular importance is the experience of wonder and awe. Anyone who's been to a planetarium or watched the movie Dune knows that artificial environments are perfectly capable of arousing these experiences. And that's important because science suggests that such feelings directly enhance creativity and our sense of hope for a positive future. They're thus inherently empowering. Research also indicates that time spent in nature enhances a positive, empowered relationship with the future. This nature effect works to some degree even with electronic images, as I'm suggesting, and therefore can be harnessed within the virtual environments. A fascinating fact is that there is experimental evidence which shows that both children and adults are more likely to restrain the desire to satisfy impulses after watching nature videos, as opposed to videos about cities. Urban settings themselves may prime us to feel competitive and to take what's available, while nature inspires a sense of abundance and permanence. Nature also reduces arousal. That means stress, and not the other kind. And it also increases our capacity to focus and induces a more expansive sense of time and a generous attitude towards the future. Now, according to Dasha Keldner, a professor of psychology at the University of California, Berkeley, nature inspires awe and enhances creativity while helping to generate new perspectives. Conversely, small screens literally retard our expansive vision as well as our capacity for wonder and creativity. Therefore, preferable futures such as the web of wisdom would see homes, schools, and workplaces designed as cognitively friendly spaces, attuned to nature. For example, nature's fractal mathematical patterns enhance well-being, and design spaces could mirror those patterns. The commonly overlooked issue in this era, where we're spending more time in e-worlds, is the importance of using our peripheral vision. Interacting with a small screen restricts our peripheral vision and in doing so retards our mental capacity to spatially relate to information. Narrow screens require navigation via scrolling, zooming, and clicking. However, experimental evidence shows that if we activate our peripheral vision, using our eyes to rest upon expansive, panorama-like spaces and landscapes, we simultaneously permit access to greater knowledge and insight. Because the physical process facilitates our sense of context. Our working memory is improved, along with our efficiency at locating information. Using our peripheral vision also enhances our spatial memory, our ability to remember where things are. Now, this is where virtual futures could actually come into play in a positive way. Robert Ball, for example, of Weber State University in Utah, believes that we can reduce this peripheral vision constriction effect by utilizing giant, high-resolution visual displays. This could potentially help facilitate physical embodiment and augment creativity and pattern recognition. Large or multiple displays, that means monitors, offer enough space to arrange information across a wider plane and permit leverage of spatial memory. All thus suggests that instead of investing money in purchasing faster processors, we should instead buy bigger monitors. Future metaverse-like virtual spaces may therefore be able to activate our peripheral vision by developing a three-dimensional, all-surround perceptual field. Yet as netizens, we should keep in mind that we don't need to wait for big tech and our administrative overlords to change our online systems before we act. We can also modify our own behavior and lifestyles to take advantage of this nature effect. For example, other research suggests that exposure to natural light during the day helps us sleep better, makes us feel more energetic and physically active. Google reports that workers with desks near windows are more creative and productive than those further away from windows. We can all consider thus implementing these kinds of simple behaviors as we go about our life and work. There are also measurable physiological changes that occur when we experience awe, as researchers like Dasha Keltner have found. These include becoming less reliant on our pre-existing ideas and stereotypes, becoming more curious and open-minded, as well as more willing to change our worldview models. Anne Paul, in her book The Extended Mind, refers to awe as a reset button for our brains. Thus, in ideal futures, we must learn to make our machines compatible with our souls. Yet, as Anne Paul notes, our modern-day devices are engineered specifically to grab and maintain our attention. Paul writes, quote, "The time we spend scrutinizing our small screens leads us to think small, even as it enlarges and aggrandizes our sense of self," unquote. But what of the transcendent? Human history is replete with stories from spiritual traditions which claim that there are higher order expressions of consciousness. Many of these awakening experiences, where one's sense of self expands beyond the ego, involve time spent in nature or in self-reflection. The key question then is, will increased periods of time spent online and in the metaverse or VR retard our human capacity for the spiritual? The more time we spend in front of our devices, the narrower our view of life and the world, even as we magnify the fragmented self. When astronaut Rusty Schweickart gazed down upon the Earth from the dark vastness of space, he suddenly saw it within a much greater context. And I quote him here, "You identify with Houston, and then you identify with Los Angeles and Phoenix and New Orleans. And that whole process of what it is you identify with begins to shift when you go around the Earth. You look down and you see the surface of that globe you've lived on all this time. And you know all those people down there, and they are all like you. They are you. You recognize that you're a piece of this total life," unquote. Therefore, the experience of awe expands and connects, as do all genuine awakening experiences. However, the more we identify with the ego and the contents of our minds, the more we harden the boundaries of the self, and the less likely we are to transcend that ego. In other words, we lose the opportunity to embody our authentic selves. Ego makes us full of ourselves, not full of the cosmos. As Anne Paul notes, quote, "Nature's vastness, the unfathomable scale of the ocean, of the mountains, of the night sky, makes us feel tiny, even as it opens wide our sense of the possible," unquote. The relaxation and surrender process that time in nature and the experience of awe bring are also strongly present in reports of awakening experiences. A good example is that of Edmund Buck in his 1901 book, Cosmic Consciousness. Buck's direct intuition of an expanded consciousness occurred as he was walking outside under a night sky, after attending a poetry reading featuring the works of the Romantic poets such as Walt Whitman. Buck had a rapturous experience of expanded mind, which led to a direct sense that the cosmos consists, quote, not of dead matter governed by unconscious, rigid, and unintending law. It shows it, on the contrary, as entirely immaterial, entirely spiritual, and entirely alive. It shows that the universe is God, and that God is the universe. Unquote. We are not alone, but deeply connected with each other, an effect of nature that transcends our virtual connections on the internet. Our future online systems and societies in general should attempt to help us retain this nature effect, and especially the experience of wonder and awe. If they don't, we may lose something priceless, our transcendent selves, and humanity's transcendent relationship with the vast, vast universe that has spawned us. Contemplate that. See you again in the futures.